During the science experiment, we will focus on the material world, exploring the effect of heat on the properties and behaviour of materials, which is outcome ST36MW. The focus of this specific experiment is to prove that a thicker liquid, such as tomato paste, is going to react differently to other liquids such as juice, water, and vinegar. Before beginning this experiment with a class, all students must have access to an electronic device, because throughout the experiment, students will use a Create a Graph website, such as this one, and record their data to create a graph like this. Students will also use Explain Everything whiteboard. This allows them to take photos, record their experiment, and post for their teacher to assess their learning. Due to the time restraint, we have frozen the following materials and recorded the length of time it took for the materials to become a solid. We froze water, which took 61 minutes to become a solid. Juice took 151 minutes along with the vinegar, and the tomato paste took 340 minutes to become solid. As we can see, the tomato paste is already reacting differently as it took the longest to freeze. The next phase of this experiment is to melt the frozen material and measure how long it takes for it to become melted again. For this part of the experiment, the students will require 4 tea lights, a lighter, a baking tray rack, and 4 aluminium foil bowls with their 4 materials that have been solid. Focusing on the frozen water first, place a tea light candle on a clear space, carefully lighting it. Then you will put your your baking rack over your tea light candle as so. As you can see, we have our metal aluminium foil bowl and our brick of ice of water. You're going to place that over, and now you will start your stopwatch to measure how long it takes to melt. So it's now been 30 minutes, and as we can see, the water has completely melted. So we will now go back into our Create a Graph website. Here, and you'd go to data, and where it says water, the value for purple is melt, and it took 30 minutes. Now that we've finished melting our water, for the assignment purpose, we will only explore and melt the tomato paste, but in a classroom, the students would also melt the orange juice and the vinegar. So in the same way the water was melted, they'd melt the other materials. So now melting the tomato paste, I've got my lighter still, my candle, I've lit it, I've got my baking thing. I also have my tomato paste, which is solid, and I've got it in my aluminium foil bowl. Just placing that over. And now we'll start our stopwatch as well to measure how long it takes it to completely melt. So it's now been 18 minutes, and the tomato paste has not completely gone to a runny liquid, but as you can see, it has melted. It's quite runny in its consistency, and has melted from its solid consistency. And so now what we will do is we're going to go into our graphing website, and we will add the fact that it took 18 minutes for it to melt from its consistency. Now, as an extension from this, what students will be able to do is that once it's turned into its runny liquid, they then can continue to observe it and watch it until it completely evaporates. Now, as we can see, the orange juice took 140 minutes to evaporate, and the vinegar took 100 minutes to evaporate. Now, in a classroom, the students would then go on to explore how long it took the water and the tomato paste to evaporate. Once they have then explored how long it takes to evaporate, the experiment, they are then able to upload all their information to the whiteboard sharing app that we looked at earlier. Now, once the experiment is completed, students would explore the phase change stimulation, which you can see here. It allows students to change the water temperature as seen. So you can have it at minus 550 all the way up to 100 degrees Celsius. They are then also able to change the ice volume to no ice volume to 450 square cubes. And then they are able to add and remove the heat energy as seen. Once they press play, it allows them to observe and see how long it takes for the different ice to melt at different rates. So through this stimulation, students are able to explore the different effects heat has on different ice volumes. Now, this concludes our science experiment, so thank you.